So this is the influence of overt Christianity. So now some persons of our listeners may be confused. Now there's nothing wrong with Christians wanting to be a blessing to politicians. The Bible is very clear in 2 Timothy and Romans that we should pray for those in elected position so that we can lead a peaceable life. Because again, persons may hate Donald Trump, but Jesus died for him. And one of the things that we really emphasize is that it really kills me when I see us as Christians so involved in this political process that we sound like a person who doesn't know the Lord. So like we hate this politician, we hate that politician, as if God's primary concern is whether or not a Democrat gets in office or a Republican gets in office. You know, it's crazy. Doug Mastriano is another unfortunate point. So I'm pretty sure we've all heard of the concept of white privilege. So Doug Mastriano, and God bless his heart, I know that, you know, he wasn't intentionally trying to be nefarious, but he said, you know, instead of saying white privilege, we should call it white blessing because of the blessing that, you know, slavery was, because it helped to build a lot of our infrastructure and all of this, you know, reality. Again, you know, he apologized and so on and so forth, and this is not as a means to beat up our dear brother. But again, when we're talking about the Christian nationalism, this is unfortunately some of the ideologies that are infused with it as well.
Well, that might actually help. You're supposed to share your blessings, you know? So
yeah,
changing the word might change the perspective.
Yes. But again, let's not just think about this in regards to the United States. The Roman Empire was doing the same thing when they adopted Christianity as their official religion. All right, so we're getting down to the crux. Now, this is a symbol of the Puritans. Now, part of the reason why I talk about the influence of Catholicism was so important is because the Puritans get a lot of their theological framework from a lot of Catholic disposition. So the Puritans get their religious heritage from a gentleman named John Calvin. Now, John Calvin, for some of our listeners who may know who that is, he had the greatest theological influence on Christianity. Especially Protestantism, when we talk about that. But unfortunately, John Calvin didn't understand the separation of church and state. And because the Puritans were staunch Calvinists, they brought this understanding over to the New World. And so as a result of that, this is the heritage that helped to found the United States. So again, A.T. Jones. So this man was an historian, Christian theologian around the turn of the 20th century. Wrote a lot on religious liberty, especially as it relates to Bible prophecy. A lot of good material. It says they were so persecuted, talking about the Puritans, and abused by all classes as well as by the officers of the law that in 1608 they fled to Holland. And then jumping down, it says, from there a company of these pilgrims sailed and landed at Plymouth, New England in 1620. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with this. This is some American history that's still taught. In the middle, was not here an opportunity to establish a complete and unabridged Puritan government? So while they were escaping religious persecution, they also wanted to establish a Puritan theocracy here in the New World. All right, it says in 1629 a royal charter was obtained, and in the middle it says a Puritan or Calvinistic government was at once established and put into working order. So this is how the 13 colonies were originally established. It was a fusion of church and state, a fusion of that reality. All right, it says in the middle, thus the polity became a theocracy by the fundamental law of the colony constituted the oracle of the divine will, a commonwealth of the chosen people in covenant with God.